Hi, Jules Yates. Hey, I wanted to talk to you about a very specific subject, and that is home inspections and how to handle issues that come up. So, this is a topic that can really frazzle a buyer and wreak havoc on an inexperienced real estate agent. So let's just talk about some of the things that may typically will come up on a home inspection that, let's say, the seller or the buyer didn't know about. So some common things are stuff that you find in an attic. It could be mold. It could be foundation issues where maybe there's some integrity problems. It could be water problems around the foundation. It could be, we ran into one recently where there had been a fire in the attic and the seller hadn't disclosed it. I've run into a fire in an attic where the seller didn't even know about it, and it was a 100-plus-year-old home downtown. Roof issue as well. You know that the roof, they discover the home inspector thinks that the roof is nearing the end of its life. That is also, by the way, something that we'll get an opinion on that causes a lot of contention is roofs and utilities like furnaces or water heaters. So those things often are an opinion of how long they're going to last, not necessarily a guaranteed way of knowing. So let's talk about a roof. So let's just to say during the home inspection it's determined that the roof is at the end of its life. So I'm going to back up a little bit here. When you go look at a home built in, let's say, 1990, unless it says in the listing that the roof's new, you're pretty much going to assume that that roof is in fact 1990, and that was going to put it just over 30 years. The life of most roofs are 20 to 30 years. So as a home buyer and as your agent, we'll point out the condition of the roof, unless of course it's winter like it is now, and you can't necessarily see it. But generally speaking, we'll point out or at least see if there's anything that's obvious. Let's assume that we didn't notice it, you didn't notice it, and the home inspector calls it out and says, yes, we found an area of the roof that we think needs to be replaced. Of course, the seller doesn't climb up on their roof on a daily basis, so they might not realize it either. Well, let's say that issue comes up. So as a home buyer, you say, hey, I want the seller to put on a new roof. This is where the issue comes in. So if you were to put a brand new roof on a house, the value of that house typically is going to go up. The way we approach it too is let's just assume it definitely needs a new roof. Yes, the value would be higher, but the question is, who's going to pay for it and how? Well, it wouldn't make sense that the buyer pay to put a new roof on a house that they don't own yet. And that's assuming they have the money to do it. So it usually ends up where the buyer will say to us, hey, the inspector says it needs a new roof, and I'm not buying it unless it has a new roof, and I can't afford to pay for the roof, so I want the seller to do it. Okay, so how do we handle that? So we can, the first thing we do is reach out to the listing agent and indicate that there's a roof issue. They may say, well, you can't, hey, you probably should have known that going in, or my seller's not willing to pay for it. My attitude is about fairness. So let's just say that you're getting a really, really good deal and you say, listen, I get it. I just can't afford to pay for it. In addition to closing costs and my down payment, so I want the seller to do it. If you're willing to cover the cost but the seller to hire it done, you can sometimes, let's say it's a $200,000 house, it's a $6,000 roof, and you do an addendum to raise the purchase price to $206,000 with the seller to pay for the roof. In its most simplistic form, that could work. The roof goes on before closing, and the contractor agrees to get paid out of the closing. And that's, again, assuming everything goes smooth and it gets done. Sometimes the seller maybe the homeowner pays for the value with the new roof. So you can't just always assume you can add it on. Sometimes adding it on won't work because the appraised value won't support it. and you'll have to negotiate and get a price reduction from the seller. Sometimes you negotiate, depending upon how bad the buyer wants the house and how bad the seller wants to sell. You might come to an agreement that, hey, the seller will pay, let's say it's a 30-year roof, you figure 5 years, you agree to pay 1/6 of it, the seller agrees to pay 5/6 of it. It's a $6,000 roof, you pay $1,000, the seller pays $5,000. And again, how you pay for it is going to depend on the time of year and the appraised value. So those are some of the things that come up. Now, I want to address things that aren't a big deal, and I say aren't a big deal. I'm not speaking for a specific client right now. I'm just talking in general as a 30-plus year real estate veteran in the business. Real estate home inspections are not designed to give you just reasons to go in and knock the price down. Okay, sometimes you're getting a house at a really good value, and you know, hey, you know about going in, it's got some issues. We'll talk about it. We'll tell you, hey, this is a great price. Should be happy you're getting it. Other times you're paying top buck. If you're paying top buck, then yeah, you might have a certain expectations of what you're going to get out of the house and what condition it's going to be in. But sometimes we run into buyers that negotiate every little thing, especially first-time home buyers. And sometimes when a parent gets involved, they want to take control and make suggestions on things. So it's all about being reasonable, right? When you're buying a used house, you got to expect that there's going to be certain things wrong with it. Think of it like buying a used car. You don't necessarily expect it to be brand new and in brand new condition unless you're paying brand new prices, right? So anyway, that's just a little bit about inspections and ways that you can address concerns. As I said, there's all kinds of things that can come up from, like I say, water leaks, roofs, utilities, furnaces, septic systems can be a problem. Any of the above. So we're here to address it. Generally speaking, there isn't anything we haven't run into at some point along the way, so we're always here to help. If you found this video helpful, please subscribe. Hit the subscribe button below. Feel free to comment, give us a thumbs up, and don't hesitate to reach out. And always remember, real estate's not about us, it's about you. Thank you for watching.